Or dan, that's how you say good day in Croatian. Today is our very last day of our Croatia tour. It's Dalmatian staycation. And so I've just checked everybody into the final hotel. They're all relaxing. And I thought I'd walk back to my accommodation, which is on the other side of town. But it's kind of a cool way to get there because we're going to have to pass through Diocletian's palace to get to where I'm staying. And once we get there, it's kind of neat. But you'll want to see where we're staying. So have a little walk with me this beautiful Sunday morning. Here in Croatia, it's about 85 degrees, sunny, kind of humid, but beautiful. We had a wonderful tour this morning with our friend Joshko, who you might remember from the live stream last year. If you want his info, if you happen to be passing through Split, I'll go ahead and post that in the one of the posts coming up tomorrow, so you'll be able to contact him. But we had a great time today. We had a lot of logistics. It was a little bit of a tour guide's nightmare this morning because we had to get taxis to a ferry, take the ferry to Split. Once we got there, I had to send Luca on his way to France. He's on his way to Rennes now, and then take the group for breakfast. And then we had to go and meet our local guide, get all the luggage transferred to the hotel. So it's been a day, but everything went smoothly, and I'm feeling really happy about our teamwork between me and Andrew and the teamwork between the group. This tour really went off practically without a hitch, and I hate to say it because it's not quite over. So anyway, let's go have a little walk around Split and just get a little sense of the second largest town. I think it is, yeah, second largest in Croatia. Split is a port city, and it's especially famous because the Emperor Diocletian in the 4th century AD built a giant palace to retire to. There's a lot of reasons why, but nobody's 100% sure why. He might have been born in this area, but the palace is the city, which is the craziest thing. People here live in the ruins. So let's just have a little stroll around and you can check out what Split looks like on this beautiful Sunday. Beautiful city. A lot of people think Dubrovnik is the prettiest city. Of course it is, picture postcard perfect, but Split has a lot of charm. It did get bombed quite a bit in World War II, but they have redone it, and also it was bombed during the Balkans War of the early 90s, but it's been put back together. Oh, hey, Croatian cat. Hey there, Croatian cat. How's your Sunday going? Yeah, well, if looks could kill. Beautiful church. You can see that it has kind of an onion dome up there a little bit. A lot of these churches have a bit of a influence from Austria, because this was part of Austria-Hungary back before the First World War. Lots and lots of buildings here have been turned into sobe, which is like a hotel, or appartement. You'll see signs like that that are apartment rentals. This is a little bit outside of the center. As soon as we get onto the main street, you'll see it's really pretty. So our Dalmatian staycation was super fun because we spent 4 days on the island of Vis, and that's where, have you ever seen Mamma Mia, the second one, not the first one, the second one? That movie was filmed there, and so you can imagine it looks like Greece. It's just a beautiful Mediterranean island, and it doesn't have a lot of people on it because it's so far out. People would rather go to Brač or Hvar, which are much more easily accessible and more party zones. So we went instead to kind of a connoisseur's island, I guess you could say. It's the island for people that just want to enjoy Croatian life. So big kudos to Andrew for finding Vis. And actually, it's funny, everybody here, all the Croatians, when we say we're staying on Vis, they say, oh, wow, you chose Vis? Like, they're impressed. They're like, wow, that's really cool. So yeah, it is pretty neat that we're doing something a little bit different, a little more local. Coffee shop that everybody seems to love. And I think what we'll do, we'll walk down a little bit towards the promenade so you can see the sea. Split is extremely easily accessible. You can fly in here from just about any major city in Europe. So I flew in the first time from Amsterdam. This past time we flew in from Paris, from Orly, but there's lots and lots of options for flying in, and it's usually a destination you can fly into very cheaply because all of the budget airlines fly in here. Little Eastern European fashion over there. A lot of people are in beachwear because even here in Split, you can walk to the beach. I love these old Volkswagens that seem to be everywhere in the Balkans. Pretty Victorian Gothic church down here you can see in front of us. Lots of great restaurants. I'm pretty impressed with the selection of restaurants. You can go for Mexican, you can go for sushi. We're going to just go to a bistro tonight that has lots of interesting choices, meats and things like that. Fun pubs. And then over here, as we come out onto the main area, the main promenade, you can see those Jadrolinija boats. Those are the ones we took out to the islands. So we took the big ferry boat out to Vis, and then the smaller ones are hydrofoils. So the Vis ferry took us 2.5 hours, but the hydrofoil only took us 1 hour and 20 minutes. So shaves a lot of time off if you do that. This is pretty cool. Nice architecture, kind of Greek Renaissance. As you can see, there's lots and lots of young people here in town because there's a electronic music festival that happened this weekend, which is over. And I was kind of chuckling because the owner of our hotel was saying that, you know, everybody was wanting a late checkout today because they're all hungover from the festival. Apparently, that's what's going on. So here's the promenade. You can rent these fun little city tour things if you want to be lazy and see the city this way, but actually you don't need to because it's not a very big city. Here is one of the main shopping streets, but I thought we'd walk along the waterfront here. It's very pretty. I really have to give Split kudos because they have, I think, one of the most lovely waterfront promenades. Look at this. And it's so walkable. So if you fly in here and you take a taxi in here, you can stay in Split and you could do day trips to a bunch of different islands just using the ferry terminal over there. So you could go to Vis one day, you could go to Brač one day, you could go to Hvar one day. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can also hang out with the cool kids and have cocktails. And they have a little crafts fair. So yeah, it's a very, very pleasant waterfront. So Croatia is a fun place to come, especially during the summertime. I personally think if you're coming to Croatia outside of swimming season, you're doing it wrong. And I know that that's high season. I know everybody wants to come here in the summer, but I came here in May and it was nice. It was. But for me, I'm a California girl. I like swimming. So I think coming in June and July and September even as well, when you can swim in the Mediterranean, I think that's the best time to come. So what we did on this trip, if you haven't paid attention to what we were doing, is people flew in here to Split, went to Trogir, which is a cute little island town nearby, stayed there for 3 days. We did some cool culinary things. We did a Michelin star restaurant. We visited Zadar. And then we took the ferry over to Vis. And when we got to Vis, we had some really fun, unusual activities. We did sailing in a falkuša, which is a traditional boat here in Croatia, a fishing boat. We took a speedboat out to a beautiful island and went open swimming, which I love. And then the last couple days, we've gone on a jeep tour. So we got to get to know the World War II history of Vis Island and the evolution of the Communist Party in Yugoslavia. So it's been very interesting. We had a culinary tour last night, and we tried all kinds of different foods from Croatia and lots of wines from Croatia. So it was a good time. We've had a really good time on this vacation. And you can see wine is really a big deal here in Croatia. Rosé is particularly popular. Lots of cute things to buy. So this is the beginning here of Diocletian's palace. So this emperor was a very innovative emperor in that he divided the empire into 4 pieces. They called it the 4 tetrarchs. If you've been to Venice, you've probably seen a statue of the 4 tetrarchs. So he thought it would be easier to rule if they divided Rome up. At the end of his career, he came here and he built this palace sort of as a retirement home. Took 10 years to build, which is kind of insane considering how huge it is. It's absolutely enormous. But this is where he ended up wanting to live. And he did one thing that was very strange for the time. He wasn't murdered, and he lived out his life here in retirement. And as Yoshka pointed out, the very last thing he said when they asked him to come back and help resolve the problems of the Roman Empire was, "Look how beautiful my cabbages are." Because he became a cabbage farmer. I don't blame him, you know? If you spend 20 years ruling Rome, maybe I'll do that. I'll become a cabbage farmer and send this out to France one day. Who knows? But most of the people here don't care about that, but they should. It's very interesting. So you can see, and this is what makes Split so interesting, is that this palace is lived in. So it's an actual Roman ruin, a giant Roman ruin that has been lived in over time, and people actually live inside of it. So come along with me into the basement of Diocletian's palace, and I may lose you for just a split second, so just hang on if the broadcast stops, and we will come out on the other side. Today's my last day in Croatia. Tomorrow, Nico and I are flying on to other adventures, and actually we're going to go somewhere neither of us has been before. I'm going to leave that as a surprise, though, so you'll get to see what that is when we arrive tomorrow afternoon. So stay tuned tomorrow for a broadcast from a mystery location. So this is the basement of Diocletian's palace. This was built in around the year 300 AD. It might look familiar because apparently it was used also, as many things in Croatia, in Game of Thrones. This is where the dragons lived. If you saw my broadcast last year, you probably remember it was empty. Well, those days are over. It was such a treat with Yoshko and Andrew to walk through here with absolutely nobody. But sadly, well, maybe not sadly, tourism is definitely back. Up the big Roman stairs. Look at this. Incredibly beautiful ancient steps. And now that we've gone underneath a part of the palace, we're going to go upstairs and you'll see something pretty cool if you haven't seen this before. These stairs are crazy. Look how big they are. I am very tall, but they are a long ways up even for me. All right, you ready for a surprise? Here you go. So this courtyard is the heart of the emperor's portion of Diocletian's palace. Now, if you were with me earlier today, if you saw the little video I posted earlier, I posted some klapa singing. That singing took place right here. So beautiful singing. They use this space in all kinds of different ways, but have just a look at how this Roman palace has been moved into. Look, just filled in the walls and put in houses and restaurants and shops. It's just crazy. Think about the Roman Forum. Like, what if they did this to the Roman Forum? So this is the cathedral. And they even have some ruins from Egypt, which of course were brought by the ancient Romans. But just beautiful. Let's look up, you can see in absolutely beautiful condition. I also think it's fun because they used some of the architrave up there, and they've repurposed some of the pieces of this palace in other people's homes, right? So in the Middle Ages, people did not care about the Roman emperors anymore. So what happened? They took this and cannibalized it. It would be in perfect shape, but it isn't because they tore it apart piece by piece and turned it into the town of Split that we have today. So But that's actually kind of lucky because look, so this is the Mausoleum of Diocletian right here. His body's not in there, it used to be. But he was kind of vilified for having, well, for obvious reasons, because he was one of the people who killed the most Christians. You might know Santa Lucia, who I've talked about before, one of the people killed in that wave of executions of Christians during the 4th century. So that's why when Christians took over the city, Diocletian was kicked out of his mausoleum. Look at that, just gelato shop casually stuck into the ruins. So this is like an archaeological site, but it's a living, breathing archaeological site with hotels and shops. Look at that, that hotel restaurant is built in the ruins of a Roman palace. So this is the tower of the cathedral. The cathedral, which is made out of the Mausoleum of Diocletian, is, according to Yoshko, the smallest one in Europe, which makes sense. So I thought what we do now is we're going to just take a little stroll up the street, the main drag, and I'm going to take you over to see where Nico and I are staying, because it's pretty funny. It's very fun if you come to Split to stay within the walls, but you know, if you want a comfy situation, you don't want to stay inside the walls because it's tight in here. So the hotels and Airbnbs in this part of town are going to be really tiny, and they're going to be pretty oldie moldy. So depending on what you need from a hotel room, it is atmospheric to stay here, but you'll find nicer accommodations outside of the old town. It's also kind of noisy around here. So here's one hotel here. Oh, it's a fleet of children. So many children.
That's where we came from.
People are lost, and I'm not surprised. But this particular street is easy because it's just straight between one gate and the other gate. Looks a little bit like Venice, I think, if you have been to Venice. We're still in the walls of that ancient city, and now we've arrived at the Golden Gate. So this is the opposite end of town. So let's check it out. Look at that beautiful Roman construction. It's all just load-bearing masonry. And once we get out here, we're going to be on the opposite side of town. All right, so now we have walked all the way through Diocletian's ancient palace from the 3rd or 4th century AD, and this is the back wall of it. Okay, but here's the fun part. Where Nico and I are staying is right here. All right, so I'll show you where our door is, and then I'm going to head up and have a little rest. So I think if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you probably recognize some of this stuff too. But it is like a fun old castle. So this is where I'm staying. This tiny little wooden door that leads to a spiral staircase on the inside, and that goes up to our hotel room just up above. So you can do some fun things with accommodation if you really want to, and that's what we're doing. So that's a little taste of the town of Split, Croatia. This is the end of our Dalmatian staycation tour. I'm going to have some more pictures and descriptions coming up from yesterday and the day before, because I was having too much fun to post on social media. We did so many wonderful things. A big thank you to Alternatura, who is our agency that we work with on Vis. Also to Yoshko, our great guide here, and our guide in Zadar as well. We've had a wonderful, wonderful time. So more from Croatia coming up, but then tomorrow, like I said, mystery destination. Nico and I are set off. Also, if you are a fan of Luca, feel free to wish him a happy education in the comments, because he is off to Rennes, France, and he'll be there for a month studying full immersion French. So we're very excited about that for Luca and his future. So anyway, ciao, and we'll talk to you later. Live from Croatia, I'm in Split. Adventures with Sarah reporting back.